Hey, hey, hey. Time for another out-of-this-world story from rSpace. What is it with cheaters and trying to negotiate the terms and conditions of your relationship and how it ends? Today on rSpace, the terms are no longer up for discussion. This cheater found out the hard way that OP's family's idea of reconciliation involves a mean girl throwdown and a mother who could give the godfather a run for his money. Girlfriend cheated and now wants forgiveness and a clean slate. Third draft, trying to keep from writing a novel. I, 29 male, met my girlfriend, Kim, 24 female, in July of 21. She was working at an upscale restaurant that I ate at frequently. I tried to ask her out several times before she said yes. After 3 months, she asked if we could be exclusive, and by March 22, we moved in together. Before she moved in, I took her to meet my mother. Kim was very anxious, but not as much as I was, as my mother can be very intimidating and overpowering. But Kim charmed my mother and won her over. My mother said in a large part it was how she treated and looked at me. After we had been living together for a while, my mother quizzed us about our plans, specifically about our goals. Kim was a sophomore in 2020 and COVID caused her to drop out and lose her scholarship. She really wanted to get her degree to have a chance at a real career, but it was always out of her reach, financially. Later that day, my mother reached out to us and offered to pay for Kim's tuition. So Kim started back in the fall of 23 at my alma mater, just a 35-minute drive from my house. I got to visit my old stomping grounds and show Kim around the campus. The first semester was great. The second semester saw red flags start to emerge. Kim was no longer comfortable with me hanging around some of her friends. Said me being 6 to 7 years older than her friends made them feel uncomfortable. She also had a study group that met on Wednesday night and an early class on Thursday morning, so she started spending Wednesday night with one of her girlfriends so she could get more sleep before class. She wanted to go to Cancun for spring break until I offered to book our tickets. She wanted to go alone with her girlfriends. Some of her girlfriends got invited to a frat party at my old frat house. I insisted on going with her, knowing what those parties were like, and we fought until I foolishly caved. When she got home from the frat party, it was late and she went straight to bed. Early the next morning, she got into the shower and I slipped in there with her before she realized. It was not an unusual occurrence. Then I saw the bruises on her hips and butt, which she said were from playing volleyball drunk. I know better. I have left bruises like that on her. But the one she tried her best to hide was a bite mark and hickey on her breast. I wouldn't listen to her lies and said she needed to leave. After she was gone, I reached out to one of my frat brothers. I knew his little brother was living at the frat house and was surely there at the party. I talked to his little brother and explained my situation and described my girlfriend and the purple flower tattoo on her hip. He was very forthcoming and sent me a couple of pictures and a short video. He was adamant she hadn't been slipped anything and wasn't that drunk. She came over to talk the next day and get her stuff. She tried to tell me it wasn't as bad as I thought and nothing really bad happened, that she wanted to put it past us and move on. The color left her face when I asked her if she had ever seen a BJ contest, where a group of girls raced to get their guy over the finish line first, and then I played the video for her. I said one of my first lessons as a pledge was there are 2 types of co-eds, the ones you date and the ones that come to frat parties, and I guess we now know which one you are. I said until all those marks fade, I don't want to talk to you or even be around you. The fact I may still have feelings for you just disgusts me. I made her give me back the keys to my house and my credit card that she uses for gas, books, and other expenses. She does have a debit card on her account that I put money into, so she has cash to spend. She has love-bombed me for days, promising to change. No overnights on campus, no more parties or activities without me there, and coming home right after classes. She said she was stupid for listening to other people and letting them talk to her into disrespecting me. Only a couple of my friends know what happened, but I haven't talked to many people about it out of shame. I'm angry at myself for actually entertaining the thought of giving her another chance. Well, that sounds like one heck of a party. Of course she wouldn't want you there. Sounds like she wanted all of that fun for herself. The fact that you're questioning whether to give her another chance is almost as entertaining as her attempt at damage control, OP. Quick update. I finally got to talk with my mother, without divulging the dirty details. I told her I had proof that Kim had been cheating on me and that I had broken up with her. She was livid and said we will deal with that when I get home. She asked if I was okay and told me to contact her lawyer if I needed anything. I told her where I had left things with Kim and she offered again to cut her trip short and fly back home. I told her there was no need to come back and that I had things handled. Then I got a call from my older sister. She's in her car and headed to my house. We talked on the phone for almost the entire 2-hour drive to my house. When she gets to my house, she makes me gather and box up the rest of Kim's things and call her to come and get them. Kim was not happy to see my sister there, as I think she thought I would be alone and she could soften me up and plead her case. I told her she had till the end of the first of the month to figure out her car and health insurance, that I didn't want any contact with her again after today. Kim begged for a cooling off period and some counseling before we threw the last 3 years away. In school, my sister was a mean girl bully, but I never heard her utter some of the words she used to verbally lash out at Kim. At one point, I almost felt sorry for Kim for all the abuse she was taking. Almost. We finally got the last of Kim's stuff in her car. My sister is staying with me for a few days in case Kim comes over and falsely accuses me of something. Here's some clarifications. 1. Kim didn't get to go on spring break with her friends because I refused to buy her tickets. 2. Kim also didn't know beforehand that the frat house party was the same one I belonged to in college. 3. I am cutting her phone off Monday and tying up the number so it can't be ported. Nothing like having your sister channel her inner mean girl to handle your breakup. Hopefully, this whole situation serves as a cautionary tale. Don't mess with someone's heart. You might end up with a family that treats breakups like a contact sport. P.S. Your mom sounds like the godfather of all mothers. What would you have done? Up next, this cheater checked all the boxes all right, even that box for gonorrhea. I couldn't ask for more proof, but the way forward is gut-wrenching. About 7 months ago, I, 37 male, married my partner, 27 female former coworker, of 4 years. We had a spectacular wedding, no expense spared. I paid for most of it. Approximately 500 attendees, including political elite. It couldn't have been more perfect. As an expat of approximately 10 years in her home country, I had reservations committing to any local partner due to uncertainty surrounding the cultural, religious, and socioeconomic gap. That uncertainty disappeared when, 6 months into our relationship, she casually mentioned her family's elite political heritage, something I would have name-dropped on the first date. So I was convinced I had found someone who checked all the boxes. Her family's lovely. About 1.5 months after our marriage, she started working late a lot, staying with friends more than usual, and the sex life started deteriorating. And then, she started planning our honeymoon, but her year-end vacation is much longer than mine, so she also planned a follow-up trip with a female friend to an exotic-ish country nearby. Fine by me, have fun. During her trip, I asked her to send selfies, welfies with her friend and got nothing. She came back from the trip and told me she thought our relationship wasn't going to work out. Lots of gaslighting, silly reasons that could be easily worked through. I put in lots of effort to connect, strengthen the relationship, and was met with more avoidance, work trips, and nights with friends. 3.5 months in, she messaged me that I needed to get checked for STDs because she was positive for gonorrhea. I tested negative, but having had sex with her 2 days prior, I was tested positive within 7 days. Initially, she lied about where it came from, but eventually she confessed that it came from a one-night stand with Guy S. on her work trip 2 weeks prior, exactly 90 days after our marriage. I was mad, probably shouted a bit, insisted first time, last time, and she couldn't agree to that. I'm afraid it will happen again. I read if you're in my office, it's already too late. Started the Gotham method, booked marriage counseling sessions, and honestly forgave her. I had cheated on a girlfriend when I was her age, didn't give that girlfriend an STD, so I could relate and rebuild. 4.7 months after our marriage, while the work trips, nights with friends, withdrawal continued, I went through her purse and found photos of her kissing Guy J, love letters from him, and used emergency contraceptives. Immediately, I went to talk to her at her parents' house. She was staying there for a family event. She refused to speak to me one-on-one, so the conversation happened in front of her parents. Everything came out. The STDs from Guy S, the photos with Guy J, and the countless work trips that were lies. She countered with all my shortcomings, gaslighting, my poor sexual performance, how I don't appreciate her cooking enough, etc. I let her get it out, left. She stayed with her parents for a week, and they berated her for her actions. In the meantime, I started going through bank statements, text messages, talked with her friends, connected with a post-honeymoon trip friend. She friend maintained the lie. I discovered that her post-honeymoon trip was actually with Guy J, because she bought the tickets and hotel with our money, and he repaid some of it with a bank transfer. Thanks. Only 1.5 months after our marriage. When she came back, still in shock and in the fog, I gave her 2 options. A. Divorce. B. Truth and reconciliation and post-nup. She chose option B, but continued to lie. He reimbursed me for the trip because he couldn't go. I took a month off to return to my home country and broke the news to my mother in person. I didn't tell my mom about the STDs, only the affair, but she didn't need convincing. Option A is the only way forward, and she never wants to see or speak to my wife again. During the month away, my wife said she was sorry and she wanted to make everything right. She said truth and reconciliation would start when I got back. Why am I posting this? I don't know, maybe to vent, maybe to seek validation that I'm not being an a-hole for ending things. Update. So I broke the divorce news to her. She just kept saying she didn't want a divorce. After a few days, she started getting super entitled. You need to pay for my apartment. You need to pay for my lawyer. After a bit of an argument, she left, and I found Mount Everest of proof. She was currently chatting, meeting up, sending sexy photos with Guy J, Guy M, Guy J2, Guy C, plus about 2 others. She had sex with Guy J3 only 4 weeks before our wedding, kissed him goodbye only 2 weeks before our wedding, and only 5 days later, 9 days before our wedding, she met Guy J, the love of her life. She slept with Guy J 3 days before our wedding and 1 day after. Up until now, marriage plus 7 months. Effing sociopathic nymphomaniac. I definitely made the right decision to divorce. This marriage was dead before it even started. Kind of cheesy James Bond quote. We both know what it feels like to have everything taken from us before we're even in the fight. Now, speed up the divorce proceedings, heal, focus on work, move on and up. Let's see how the community reacts. Holy heck, mate, you're not crazy. Option A is the only way forward. There's no way that woman will ever be faithful. Her words hold no weight and her actions have been showing her disrespect for you from, likely, before your marriage. You deserve better. Next person says, simply tell her that you are divorcing her and there will be no reconciliation. She is a serial cheater and won't change in the future. Just consider that your time has come to pay the price for cheating on your ex-girlfriend. Karma has a funny way of extracting the price from a sinner sometimes. You've learned your lesson, so hope you will be a faithful partner to your next mate. One more person says, there isn't even a question here. Option A without a doubt. You don't help her pack or anything. She's evidently capable of making decisions for herself, sleeping with at least a couple of other guys, and planning things like sneaky extra holidays, lying about work, etc. So let her pack. Let her find somewhere else. Why on earth would you help? Take the house key off of her and bid her gone for F's sake. Record the conversation purely so you both have a record of it. Well, I'm here to tell you that you are most definitely not the a-hole here, OP, but you are treating this marriage like a multiple choice exam. You're right, this marriage was dead before it started, and it's clear you're dealing with a professional when it comes to deceit. I bet you're wishing you didn't pay for most of that wedding by now, though. I mean, I feel like she would have racked up the whole alphabet there if you had have kept things going. Take your lessons and move on from there, OP. Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon.